What's poppin'? What's poppin'? We're here. Minute late. Had to figure a couple quick things out. We are here. We're gonna give it a couple minutes. Kind of get myself set up a little more. I have notes ahead. Like I said, we'll give it a couple minutes and let people hop in. Give everybody a little bit of time. How are you? I don't know who's here, but thank you for joining. Yeah, we have a fun topic today. I am doing the podcast alone. We're doing a topic that I was interested in, Nikola Tesla. And I have, like I said, a whole bunch of cliff notes here ready to go. We're going to get into the nooks and crannies of Mr. Tesla. Not Mr. Musk, Mr. Tesla. Nikola Tesla. So we're a minute in now. Give it a couple minutes, and then if nobody's in, we'll just start, and people can watch it later. But we made the post. It is out. It's live. Maybe we'll get some people. Maybe we won't, and then people can watch it later. Is what it is. But I'm excited. I have a bunch of So I didn't really. We have the lighting fixed. I have a nice light shining on me for better lighting in the apartment. I figured out a couple small things, but this is definitely too white. It's got to get decorated better. And I worked on a bunch of small scripts, not scripts, but like cliff notes for different podcasts that I'm going to be doing in the future. So we have content lined up and ready to go, which is pretty cool. Been really working hard on it. Absolutely wonderful. Two minutes in. All right. Let me make a couple more posts real quick, and then 5 minutes in, we're going to start. If you want to skip ahead, if you're watching this not live, skip ahead to the 5-minute mark. Once 5 minutes starts, I'll start getting into our subject. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, so we're just getting everybody filled in. Got to get everything posted. It's going to be a grind for a bit. I'm probably not going to have very many people actually watching at first when I go live, but that's cool. It's all part of the grind, right? Because you guys will be able to watch this later on your own time if need be and listen. 3 minutes. Perfect. I got that. Today was a good day, actually. I was more productive than I thought. I almost didn't get out of bed till like noon, but I got up around 10. I was like, fuck it, I have to get up. I seasoned some food. I cooked myself a huge breakfast. I cooked myself a big breakfast, half a case of eggs, and then I ended up seasoning food, took a shower. I got it really hot, and then I sat in there for a minute with it like ice cold after letting my body heat up, trying to wake myself out. It works. Did the dishes. Yeah, did a bunch of shit, man. Bunch of crappy stuff. And prepped the stuff behind me for the lighting because it is getting brighter. It was raining out earlier, but I had a feeling that if I didn't set it up, it was magically the sun was going to come out, and it's already starting to. It's still cloudy, but it would have been too much for the camera. We're getting about 5 minutes in now, so I'm gonna get started in a second. I have my cliff notes here. Let's see. There we go. All right. So I have, like I said, my cliff notes. We're gonna get into Nikola Tesla today. A little bit different um, than the last podcast. I was kind of just talking to you guys and telling you what I wanted to do. So I thought that this would be a fun topic for today. I don't know why, but I figured that this would be fun. Something that people can listen to. They don't even necessarily have to watch because I'm just shooting the shit. So it would be good for people at work, just to listen to and all that type of stuff. I thought it'd be fun. So we have our introduction, the forgotten genius. So imagine a world, right, where your phone charges wirelessly from towers scattered across the entire globe, where wars end because of a single beam of energy that could make weapons obsolete, where free electricity pours through the air like radio waves available to every human being, rich and poor. You're corny. But anyways, so nah, it's just a weird world. So that was the world Nikola Tesla dreamed of. He was a man born in 1856 in a country called Smilajan, which now is modern day Croatia. Excuse my English, which is today's Croatia. I don't even know who this is, but thanks, bro. Appreciate the comments. Smilajan was inhabited mostly by the ethnic Serbs like Tesla's family, who were part of the Serbian Orthodox Church. The community was deeply religious but also practical. Many families were farmers, herders, and artisans. Tesla grew up hearing both folk traditions of church liturgy, which he later influenced his sense of rhythm, memory, and imagination. Who is this? It sounds like Frasier, dude. Sounds like something Frasier would say. Yeah, that's definitely Frasier. I'm gonna ban you if you're not careful. Hide user on this channel? I might have to. You need to settle down, sir. I'm trying to have a nice podcast and not get demonetized. So if you're gonna be like that, I will have to hide your comments. So we're going into Tesla's family home. Tesla was born on July 10th, 1856, in a modest house next to a local Serbian Orthodox church where his father, Milton Tesla, served as a priest. His mother, Duca, I want to say Duca is how you pronounce that. So his mother, Duca Tesla, although illiterate, was known for her creativity and invention. She designed household tools and devices to ease farm work. Tesla credited her as his first true inspiration. The house where he was born is still preserved today as part of the Nikola Tesla Memorial Center. Visitors can tour the family home, the church, and exhibits of Tesla's life. So despite being born in such an obscure, poor farm town, he had this big dream to go global scale with some technologies. He didn't know what he wanted to do yet, but transmitting power, he understood, was something that it just electricity. So he had these electricity storms that he'd see as a kid in Croatia, and it really also made his imagination run wild. Like he could harness that somehow, kind of an Thomas Edison type. So we got the cliff notes. Scroll down a little bit. Tesla himself once said that he always carried memories of his childhood home and natural forces he observed. The lightning storms over the mountains fascinated him as a boy and shaped his obsession with electricity. So today, Smilajan is best known as Tesla's birthplace. The Nikola Tesla Memorial Center opened in 2006 for Tesla's 150th birthday and includes Tesla's restored childhood home, a multimedia museum with a bunch of his inventions. They also have replicas of experiments like the Tesla coil and a couple others that they didn't list when I was searching. And then it's also, so the family home, like I said, was next to the family church where his father was the priest of the church, which is pretty interesting and really tight knit little community over there, I guess. So Smiljan today also draws in visitors worldwide, especially scientists, engineers, and Tesla enthusiasts. Tesla's life was a short Tesla's life was a story of brilliance and tragedy. He held hundreds of patents, changed the course of modern history with his alternating current systems, but died in obscurity in New York hotel room in 1943. His story is not just about invention, but about how money, power, and politics decided which ideas would be allowed to survive, and which ones would get buried in the process. And we're gonna get more into that as we go on. Um, but is everybody here want to quickly shout out themselves? We're gonna keep going. I can keep going. I'll keep going a little bit. Feel free to talk a little bit in the chat. Tesla studied engineering at Australian Polytech in Graz and later philosophy in Prague, but he never officially graduated. Still, his grasp of mathematics and physics was extraordinary. In 1884, at age 28, Tesla immigrated to the United States. He arrived in New York with a little more than 4 cents in his pocket, a letter of recommendation, and his dreams. What's up, bro? So now you got a picture. He's broke. All right, so we're just going to mute you. I'm going to put you in a timeout for 10 minutes. And in 10 minutes, you'll be able to talk again. But we're not going to be doing that. It's just not necessary. It's kind of childish, you know? But here we are. So this gets us into his immigration story. He's now in New York. He's a poor immigrant, but he's got a lot of ideas and he has a letter of recommendation. And this leads into the AC/DC wars. I'm assuming it's Frasier by the messages that I was reading, but I mean, it might not be. Either way. So that, yeah, like I said, this leads into the Edison and Tesla war of AC/DC current. So upon arriving in America, Tesla worked briefly for Thomas Edison. The two men could not have been more different, though. Edison was a practical businessman, kind of a showman in a sense, and Tesla was an idealist and a visionary. So they really Tesla came and worked for Edison. However, they didn't really get along, and he was quick to leave Edison's wing. Their rivalry was a big part of history, known as the War of Currents. So, setting the stage. Okay. So, in the late 1870s and 1880s, the US was rapidly electrifying. Cities were starting to get electric lights, but the question was, what system would power the world? There's two competing visions: Thomas Edison's direct current and Nikola Tesla and George Westinghouse's AC current or alternating current. DC stands for direct current, AC current is alternating current. This wasn't just a technical debate, it was a business war worth millions of dollars and the chance to control the future of power. Edison's direct current. So Edison pioneered DC power plants in New York. His system sent electricity in one direction through wires. The advantages were that it was simple and safe at low voltages, and it was already in use in some neighborhoods. So it would have been easy to integrate fully through the power grids of like a big city like New York. It would have been an easy thing for them to just keep going with. The disadvantages is that DC current, it couldn't travel far without losing strength because of the fact that it was a low power in a cord. And what this meant was to power an entire city, you'd need a power station about every mile or so at the time, which it was impractical and it was also very expensive. Hi, Ashanti. So, yeah, it was expensive so the idea is that having a power station every mile was going to increase how the electricity would flow, would power up more, which was expensive because obviously now you have to build all these different towers or factories. to be able to keep the charge going throughout the city. And then we're going to get into Tesla's AC, or the alternating current. So AC electricity reverses direction many times per second, 60 cycles per second in the US. By using transformers, AC voltage can be raised for long distance transmission and then lowered for safe use in homes. So it's a high powered thing to travel far. And then before they go into your house, we have the transformers, which dampen and lower the electricity so it doesn't blow the fuse boxes in our house, basically. Is what I understood. I could be wrong in some technicalities. Tesla perfected AC motors and transformers, making the system efficient and scalable. The advantage was you could generate electricity at a single large plant and send it miles away. You didn't need multiple plants all throughout the country. It was a lot cheaper to just have one manufacturing plant in maybe each state, and then it powers the state, which was the idea. The business war between Edison and Westinghouse with Tesla's tech. So Tesla originally worked for Edison, like we talked about earlier, when he arrived in the US, but Edison dismissed his AC ideas. He discredited him and called him a fool. Tesla later sold his AC patents to George Westinghouse, a wealthy investor / businessman who believed in Tesla's vision. He thought it was a good idea, and Westinghouse actually had prior beef with Edison due to other patents in the past. Edison had been making a name for himself in a weird way with a lot of different businessmen, and so this dude wanted to team up with Tesla and try to kind of stick it to Edison in a way, which I kind of like. It was a cool part of history that somebody's standing up to the powerhouse of the country. And in this case, it's like getting electricity to every city, every town. That's huge. That's a money-making machine right there. Tesla later sold we said that. And this was set to stage the head-to-head battle, the Edison Electric DC versus Westinghouse Electric AC. My apologies. I need to wet my whistle a little bit. My mouth is getting a little dry. So, Edison, seeing that it was going to be ineffective to just properly try to campaign DC current because of how expensive it was going to be, and it was going to cost tax people dollars, he decided that he was going to do a smear campaign on AC current instead. He wanted to make AC current look deadly and dangerous. And so Edison knew AC was technically superior, but feared losing his monopoly. So he launched a brutal fear campaign instead. He had two different ways that he did this. There was public demonstrations. So Edison's team electrocuted stray dogs, cats, calves, which is baby cows, and even a horse with AC to show its danger. These gruesome events were staged live, for people to watch, and it was just supposed to scare the public. And he also invented the electric chair. So Edison promoted using the first electric chair executions, hoping to brand it as the execution current. In 1890, William Kemmler was executed in the first AC-powered electric chair. So he didn't invent the electric chair, he invented the first AC-powered electric chair, a drawn-out horrific event that Edison's team actually publicized as a warning. Media picked up the message portraying AC as dangerous and Edison's DC as safer. So here's some of Tesla's inventions that changed the world. We have the Tesla coil. He developed this in 1891. Isn't that wrong? So he really is almost like the first, not the first, but it's like a scam. Isn't to discredit somebody to make sure your business sells, you're gonna kill animals and so I guess that electric chair that he developed, he made it so that it wasn't a quick high voltage shock that would kill you instantly. He used low shocks that took a long time for this poor man to die. He made it last longer to really make it look sick, which is really wrong if you ask me. That's not right. Don't do stuff like that, people. That's wrong. We have the Tesla coil, a high voltage transformer, still used in radio and TV today, actually. Tesla used it in dramatic demonstrations, shooting arcs of lightning from his body, wooing the audiences, but also feeding into the mad scientist image. He also invented the induction motor, which revolutionized machinery by using AC. Modern appliances, fans, and even electric cars are built on this principle today. We have radio and wireless communication. So Tesla demonstrated radio transmission before, excuse me, this is a tough name. I'm assuming this is like Italian. Guglielmo Marconi, maybe a Russian. Guglio Marconi. Through Marconi, though Marconi is often credited with inventing the radio, Tesla had patents first. And in 1943, the US Supreme Court upheld Tesla's claim, but only after he died. So the man didn't even get his recognition until after he was gone. He didn't get to see the work fully of what he did, which is pretty sad, man. Like, they really did him dirty in that sense. And he also did the first remote control. So in 1898, Tesla wooed a crowd in Madison Square Garden with a radio-controlled boat. It was so advanced, people thought it was a magic trick, or that Tesla was secretly controlling it with his mind. He actually had a little 2-button remote in his pocket, and he was telling people that he could control the boat, and it was swimming around this little pond in the park. And he just was like, it's almost like those people, if you've ever been to Boston or a city and there's those street performers, he kind of was doing that in the park to like advertise his inventions. And he was looking for investors in the process. Pretty interesting. So ambitions and lost inventions. So these are things that Tesla worked on that either were shut down due to being discredited by Edison, or funding was pulled, and we'll get into all of that. So the Wardenclyffe Tower, from 1901 to 1917, Tesla's most ambitious project, with funding from J.P. Morgan, one of the biggest investors I've heard of, pretty interesting. How we doing? Are we going to be cool, or do I have to mute you again, bro? Because I'm trying to enjoy my stream, man. I could do that in another stream, but right now I have my work on my phone prepped for this, but I wouldn't mind doing a World War II. Yeah, see, I don't take demands, so we're going to put you in a timeout now for 10 minutes again, because I just don't have time for that. Sorry, buddy. All right, guys, sorry. People are weird. I don't know why people are like that. It doesn't bother me. It just is more comments in my algorithm, so I'm going to get more people in the next stream. He's actually doing me a favor. JP Morgan funded this Wardenclyffe Tower from 1901 to 1917. It was Tesla's most ambitious project. He built a massive tower on Long Island, and it was intended to transmit wireless signals and power across the globe. Tesla envisioned free energy for all, but when Morgan realized there was no way to charge for it, he withdrew the funding. So Tesla was trying. Hi, mamas. I miss you. Do good in school. I heard you've been going to school. Going to school. I miss you. Hi. I think that is Fraser. It's all right. I thought it was Fraser. I'll have to come visit at some point. Yeah, so Tesla was trying to give people free energy. He didn't want to charge people. And JP Morgan realized this, and he goes, you know what? Give me my money back. And he pulled all of his funding, and the tower never happened. So we all might have had another world where we don't have to pay our electric bill. How crazy would that be? Interesting. I thought that was crazy, that because he didn't want to charge. The death ray teleforce. In the 1930s, Tesla claimed to have designed a particle beam weapon that could bring down armies and aircraft. He offered it to the US and European governments, but it was never built. Skeptics dismissed it, but conspiracy theorists believe the designs were hidden or seized. Now, I thought that was pretty interesting too, like hidden or seized being a possibility. I could see that. And that would explain a lot of the energy weapons that people talk about today, like how not where we could do a podcast on this too, but the Hawaii fires, people were saying the blue rooftops weren't getting lit on fire, which is pretty crazy. And then we got another invention, which is called the oscillator or the earthquake machine. Tesla created a small mechanical oscillator that allegedly shook buildings in Manhattan. Tesla himself claimed it could bring down buildings if scaled up. The police shut down this experiment, so it actually like he was using it and it must have been doing small minute earthquakes. I don't know, but the police came to him and were like, you got to shut this shit down, bro. He was doing some like crazy things, man. And then he also developed the wireless world system, Tesla's vision of a global network transmitting voice, images, and energy without wires. What does that sound like to you guys? Kind of sounds like Wi-Fi, right? It's very weird that it's almost like after he died, they took all of his info and then just started integrating it into society without him needing to make money off of it. Even though he wasn't really looking for the money, it's just weird. It sounds like Wi-Fi though. Like, listen to what I said again. The wireless world system, Tesla's vision of a global network transmitting voice, images, and energy without wires. Sounds like this. Transmitting my voice. Hello, can you hear me? Pictures. I could send you a picture on my phone. Pretty weird. Turning point. So this is the turning point in the AC/DC current war. In 1893, Westinghouse and Tesla won the contract to light the Chicago World's Fair using AC electricity. This was huge. It was one of the biggest things at the time because Chicago had a big industry and manufacturing. It was big at that time period. So to have that was big. It showed a lot of people what AC was really about. The dazzling success proved AC could safely and efficiently power an entire exhibition. Then the ultimate victory, Niagara Falls Power Project. 1895 is when this happened. Westinghouse built Tesla's AC system to harness the falls, immense energy, and transmit electricity miles away to Buffalo, New York. So from Niagara Falls all the way to Buffalo, New York. That's like an achievement all in itself. Super awesome. Super awesome. It was a massive success, showing the world that AC was the future. The aftermath of this was after Niagara Falls, AC spread rapidly, and Edison's DC systems became obsolete for large-scale power distribution. So, for large-scale stuff, DC's fine. If you're using AC, oh, I'm sorry, I read that wrong. DC systems became obsolete for large-scale power distribution. So AC took over the industry in the large-scale power distribution. Maybe some small things you use DC for. Edison's company was eventually absorbed into General Electric, which ironically adopted AC. Isn't that interesting? He actually had to adopt AC and stop using DC. Good way to tell Edison to just take that, buddy. Take that, Edison. What a guy, dude. What a guy. Tesla really stood him up, dude. Tesla, meanwhile, wouldn't see the fortune his inventions deserved. A decision with Westinghouse would change his life forever. So this is the original deal between Westinghouse and Tesla. They had an original contract deal in the 1880s. In the late 1880s, after leaving Edison, Tesla sold many of his AC motor transformer patents to George Westinghouse. The deal was Westington paid Tesla a large upfront sum, about $60,000 in cash plus stock. So not only did he get cash, he got $60,000 in cash plus stocks, and agreed to a royalty, which means anytime one of his products sells, he's getting money every time. A royalty of $2.50 per horsepower of electricity generated using Tesla's patents. So it's actually for how much electricity he would get paid money. That's huge. That's awesome. Because, dude, how many horsepowers do you think it takes to power a city? Probably mad. But there's a catch. So if you think about how much power the world eventually generated, this contract could have made Tesla one of the richest men alive. Westinghouse in financial trouble now. All right. So in the early 1890s, Westinghouse Electric was struggling. The war of currents with Edison had been brutal and expensive. The smear campaigns, lawsuits, and undercutting contracts, it drained his revenues. The Wall Street financiers pressured Westinghouse to cut the costs. The royalty agreement with Tesla loomed over the company like a financial time bomb. Tesla, in a dire situation, he had to make a decision. And what he ended up doing was this. So let me wet my whistle. Sorry. My mouth is getting dry again. I seen you, EJ. Don't think I didn't see you. I'm just talking. Westinghouse approached Tesla and explained the situation. If the royalty contract continued, the company might collapse and Tesla's system would never spread. Tesla, ever the idealist, valued seeing his invention power the world more than making a fortune. He was a real dude, bro. He was a real guy. Now listen to this, right? He supposedly said something like, "You have kept your word to me when others broke theirs." This is the Westinghouse, by the way. Tesla's talking. "You have kept your word to me when others broke theirs. You will save your company, and it will give me the satisfaction to have helped you." And in that moment, he ripped up their contract. He ripped up his contract for the money. There was two contracts, technically, the way they did it. There was one for the money that Tesla was going to get, which is what he ripped up, and there was one for the patents. And he let this dude keep the patents. And basically what this meant was that Westinghouse would take Tesla's earnings and be able to save all of this from going under the water into the red, being bankrupt. Dude, Tesla was your boy, bro. Like, if I needed a friend, dude, I want somebody like Nikola, bro. Nikola Tesla was on that, dude. He was like, I don't need any money. Just make my inventions change the world, bro. This is the consequences. That one gesture cost Tesla what could have been hundreds of millions of dollars in lifetime earnings. Without these royalties, Tesla had far less financial security. Later in life, when he struggled to fund projects like the Wardenclyffe Tower, that missing fortune could have made all the difference. Westinghouse remained grateful, but Tesla never regained stable financial footing again. This would be the end of his finances, pretty much. Like, this would really set him down a bad path, unfortunately. So I also went and took the liberty of finding a couple conspiracies and some mysteries on Tesla. The FBI files is number one. In 1943, after Tesla's death, the U.S. Office of Alien Property Custodian seized his papers. So because he was an immigrant, even though he filed to be an American citizen, he was also a joint citizen of his home country, which is modern-day Croatian now, like we talked about earlier. Smiljan, I think, is how it's pronounced. They came in to his apartment very shortly after he died and took all of his work, seized his papers. Some were released later, but many remain missing. Were they mundane technical notes or secrets too dangerous to reveal? The Philadelphia experiment. Conspiracy lore ties Tesla theories to a 1943 U.S. naval experiment to make ships invisible or teleport. What? Tesla reportedly had connections to these projects through evidence, though evidence is scarce. So he supposedly had connections to these projects, but the evidence isn't all there. He also had, so this next name, I named it HAARP and weather control. Tesla's ideas about atmospheric resonance and wireless power are linked by some to modern programs like HAARP, accused of controlling the weather or even causing earthquakes. That's pretty nuts because we talked about the earthquake machine that he developed. So I wonder if they somehow got the patent. They're like, we're just going to use this. An alien contract. So in 1899, while in Colorado Springs, Tesla detected radio signals he believed could be intelligent life on Mars. A little bit kooky, but while most scientists dismiss this natural cosmic interference, it planted the seeds for Tesla, the alien communicator. It planted seeds of all these different new thoughts. You know what I mean? Really like made his mind churn and think more. And then my favorite, the suppression of free energy. We kind of had a little discussion about this. So the most enduring conspiracy, Tesla had truly discovered a way to harness unlimited free energy. But financiers like JP Morgan, like we talked about, and governments suppressed it to protect profits. They wanted the electrical money to keep coming in. You know what I mean? But Tesla wanted to give everybody power for free. Supporters point to the sudden collapse of the Warden Cliff as evidence. The final years of Tesla's life and his death. Tesla never married, although a lot of people say that he was in love with a pigeon. I didn't put this in here because it's kooky. I didn't find anything that said it was 100% true. I found evidence towards it, but it's not confirmed. Maybe it is somewhere and I couldn't find it, so forgive me. But there is story that he was in love with a pigeon and he did not want to marry a woman because it was a distraction in a sense. Never married, claiming celibacy, fueled his scientific focus. He lived alone in New York hotels, feeding pigeons and growing increasingly eccentric. He continued pitching inventions to governments, insisting he had blueprints for a death ray that could secure world peace. Most people ignored him. On January 7th, 1943, Tesla died in room 3327 of a New Yorker hotel at age 86. He was broke, isolated, and largely forgotten. It's pretty sad. It's honestly kind of sad. Like, he didn't have any kids because he didn't get married. He didn't really have any family besides people in Croatia. He was an immigrant alone. So he died alone in a hotel room. He didn't even have the money to own his own house, man. That's sad. Nikola Tesla was a real one. I mean, he tried to give us free energy. That's pretty cool, man. Within hours, the U.S. officials seized his belongings, adding to the aura of mystery surrounding his work. So hours after this poor man is gone, they're already in his apartment raiding his things. Wow, man. Today, Tesla is celebrated as the visionary who was decades ahead of his time. He predicted wireless communication, renewable energy, and global networks. Pop culture embraces him, from movies and documentaries to Elon Musk naming his car company Tesla. His story raises powerful questions. Excuse me, everybody. How many ideas have been lost because they didn't align with profit or power? And how many visionaries today might be facing the same obstacles Tesla did? So, ask yourselves a couple questions. I wrote down a couple questions. I want you guys to ask yourselves these, and you guys can comment them down below after the video's over if you want to answer. Just churn your brain. Ask yourselves, do you think Tesla truly actually discovered free energy? you think that Wardenclyffe Tower actually was something? It makes sense to me. So somebody's investing in your company, and you tell them basically, hey, this is going to be free energy. We're not going to be able to profit off this. Why would a big investor want to invest in that? And then they just shut down and pull the funds. I mean, it's sad, but maybe there's some truth to that. Was his death ray in the earthquake machine real science or exaggerations? Were these just like mad scientist things to like Edison's smear campaign almost? Like was Edison saying these things to scare people? Um was Tesla silenced by powerful figures, or was he simply too far ahead of his time? As a closing, Nikola Tesla's life reminds us that progress isn't just about ideas, it's about who controls these ideas. Was Tesla's genius suppressed or simply misunderstood? Or maybe a little bit of both. But one thing is certain, more than 80 years after his death, we're still asking questions about the man who tried to give the world light and maybe much more. Couple quotes by Tesla. I actually found a couple quotes by him. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. I thought that was pretty profound because a lot of people today are saying like frequencies and vibrations can be very healing in all different forms. Not we can do a podcast on that. That's actually maybe something I'll do in the future. Um, and then another quote that I found was, "Let the future tell the truth and evaluate each one according to his work and accomplishments. The present is theirs. The future for which I really worked is mine." Yeah, I've heard that the 369 frequencies and resonance. It's interesting. It's an interesting quote. I thought that was fascinating. But that's kind of what I got on my notes for this episode. We got 45-ish minutes in there. I thought that was fascinating, dude. I thought I actually learned a lot. Um, I knew a lot of the stuff already, but there was a lot of things that I learned when I started researching and doing my homework on Nikola Tesla. Um, what do you guys think? I mean, do you like any type of comments you guys want to leave? We can leave them down after the video's over and stuff, or even now. Um, but no, I definitely am fascinated by the man. If I could meet somebody and go back in time, he would definitely be somebody on the list of people. I don't know if he'd be the person, but he's on the top 5 for sure. Nikola Tesla, dude, what a guy. I mean, such a fascinating human. I thought that would be a cool way to do our first podcast, a second podcast, but it's the first one we've done a real topic on. So I thought this was interesting. I have a couple I like I said, I prepped a lot of podcasts. I have 4. I have to finish working on 1, but I have 3 more after this. I don't know if I should list them yet. I think we'll keep it a surprise, but they're all a little different. This one was like a history on a person, kind of. The next one I'm gonna do is gonna be like ancient history and mythology type. Word. I appreciate that. Yeah, definitely be prepared. Because I don't want to have people on that just are gonna kind of like sit and listen. We gotta chime in, and I knew you would do that, but yeah, for future when we have people on, it's gotta be something legit. Um, I have a topic about it's got history to it, but it's also fantasy, which is pretty cool. Um, and then I have like a philosophy podcast I'm working on that should be pretty fun. Couple fun ideas, and I have a lot of more ideas to work on in the future. But if you guys have any ideas anything you want me to talk about, I would love to have some ideas shot down. Let me know. It's got to be something within limits, so that way we don't get banned off YouTube. We're not doing anything crazy out of pocket, but I would be down to really research anything or just have a conversation with somebody about anything really. I'm an open book. I like to learn, and I think this is going to be something fun that we can all look forward to together and grow this community. I appreciate everybody for showing up today. That did. We had more people than I thought. Um, I'm stoked. I'm absolutely stoked. I've been working hard to get to this point, and there's still a lot of work to come. This is just the beginning. Um, I think we did pretty good. I think I'm going to cut it here. Like I said, thank you very much for coming and being a part of my stream. I love all you guys. Bye bye.